Hi everyone, welcome back to Feather Stitches Podcast. This is episode number 33. As you can tell, we are missing a person. I'm missing my Becky. Bailey's here too, but I do have Bailey. Bailey, come say hi. I do have Bailey. She's camera shy, but there she is. Becky, this is your replacement for today. You'll hear her sniffing around, wandering around. Becky, I am currently in self-quarantine. I went to California, as you guys know, with my son to San Diego. We had an amazing trip and made tons of memories and really enjoyed it. We got back on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, of course, the province of Alberta basically has gone into a state of emergency and has asked anyone who's traveled to please stay home for 12 days. I have recently started getting a cold. I went for a COVID test last night, so now I'm waiting for 4 to 5 days to find out if I have somehow contacted that virus. Praying, of course, that I haven't. But it is what it is. We are self-isolating. The province has closed all the schools. It's looking like it's for the rest of the school year, so they won't return now until September. So everything's changing hour by hour, minute by minute, it feels like. And I just thought, I appreciate the knitting community so much. You guys have been such good friends. And I just thought, let's still proceed, make a podcast. I know a lot of you guys are homebound, and I know I sure appreciate all the new uploads that people are still putting out there. And I just thought, we are stronger together. So let's just do the best we can do, and I'll put out a podcast. So as you can see, I'm currently in my living room. I've made some changes because I've always had this anti-TV in my living room, like on the main floor standard. I just don't want any TV in the living room on the main floor because, I just thought the main floor should be peaceful and quiet. And however, with all the kids now home from school, one thing I do notice when the kids are home is that they like to just kind of go hang out in their rooms or basement TV, and maybe my husband and I watch TV in our room, and it just kind of felt like we were all being split up. And I just thought we need to set up an environment where the family is going to hang out and we can watch TV together. And so it's been neat. The kids really like it, and we watched the new Frozen movie, and it's been fun having a change in the house. So when you get squirrely, just rearrange furniture, I guess. Bailey, she's been very squirrely now that we're all home. She knows something's up, and she's telling me, this is nothing. I'm always self-quarantined. I can teach you a thing or two about being self-quarantined, but now she's wondering why we're all at home. So currently I have obviously not been going to work. And now I'm just waiting. My husband, it's been hard with my husband's work. They just laid off more than half the company yesterday at his work. And, obviously we don't know if his job is safe. So he's working today. I don't know about tomorrow. And it's been very worrisome. So we're just trying to take it one day at a time. I don't have a lot of knitting to show. I know this is a knitting podcast, but I just haven't really been in the mood to knit as much. And going on vacation, it was a very busy vacation. We went to Legoland, we did SeaWorld, and we did Knott's Berry Farm. And my son, let me tell you, is the gutsiest 9-year-old I have ever met. He did all the roller coasters. Nothing stopped him. At first he was hesitant because he wanted me to go on all of them, but I usually will go on all the roller coasters, but I've just been having some health issues. So with my heart, I just could not go on all the roller coasters. So I told him, if you want to go, you have to go alone. So he did choose to go alone on some of these rides, and he blew me away. So that was really cool. But I did finish. I have 2 hose. I finished one of my socks. This is the one that I was working on before on our last podcast. I think I was maybe to here. So I added the heel, and then I did the leg. This is a Regia yarn. by Arnie and Carlo. Sorry, my Bailey's looking for a chew toy over here. There we go, she just walked past. Yeah, so do I have, yeah, so I've done that. And then I've casted on the second sock. There we are. And I'm doing these on my 9-inch circulars. These are the 2.5 millimeter 9-inch circulars. I think I've been converted to the 9-inch circulars. I find you can just knit a pair of socks so much faster. I still use my longer cables for the toes and the heels, and then as soon as I can switch them onto the 9-inch circular, on they go. So this is the sock I'm currently working on right now when I have a few moments to sit down and knit. So I hope to get this done, and then these are going to be a gift for my father-in-law for his birthday. So there they are. I wonder, I think I have the ball band for this one. Yeah. And this is the colorway 02464. So then when I was in San Diego, I wanted to bring along some, like a new sock project to work on. And I thought that this yarn was perfect. This is the Wool Baron. I'm gonna try and run upstairs after I record this to see if I can find the ball band. It's probably by my Swifter. So this is the yarn here. I bought this probably about a year ago at one of the yarn shows. I think it was the one that we had in Calgary. And it came with a contrasting mini, just orange sherbet kind of color. I absolutely love it. So that's them together. I did manage to finish a sock. So I cast it on before we left using my longer cables, switched it to the 9-inch circulars, did all the sock, went to my long cables for the heel, and then back to the 9-inch circulars. Sometimes I find with the shorter socks, the heel can sometimes feel like it's loose and it wants to slide off. So I did the sock on a 2.5. I almost feel like I should be wearing a mask for this, but I know I'm not spreading my germs through the screen to you guys. But anyway, sorry if I'm gonna be coughing and I just sound ridiculous, but it is what it is. So I did this on a 2.5 millimeter needle, and then I switched down and did the rest of my ribbing here with a 2.25 just to try and make it a little bit more snug. So there it is in all of its glory, and I will try and find the name of this. I just love it. I haven't cast on the second toe yet. You need to see Bailey. Oh. Bailey, what are you doing? Okay, I took a picture of her. I'll show you guys that she's just because I'm sitting here by her toy box, she's repeatedly going back and forth getting a new toy every 5 minutes. I'll put in a picture here. Silly dog. Anyways, just don't smell my tea. This is my new mug that I got from the Creekside Yarn Festival. This is a mug made from Prairie. Well, it's from Willow and Wool, but I know she has her own online shop. I'll try and find that as well and add it to the screen. It's Prairie. Anyways, I love this mug. It's beautiful. It's like a sock monkey. Inside, I'm drinking the cold 911 David's tea. I have it sitting on, this mug rug has seen a day or two, but I have it sitting on my mug rug. I did a swap with somebody for a mug rug once, and this is what she had sent me. I wish I had the user, like the Instagram handle of the person who sent it to me, but it's been so long now I don't even remember, but I love it. I use it every day. It sits in my living room, and it's great for my cup of coffee. You probably could use a wash, but yeah, it brings me joy. So my tea is currently sitting on there. What else? I did a couple rows on my blanket, not a whole lot. When I last showed you, I think I was down here, so I've added a couple rows onto my granny stripe. it's growing slow and steady. I just keep it in a basket here in the living room. And as I can add a stripe here and there, I just keep adding a stripe. So that is that. I got these flowers yesterday from my friend Tanya. She had dropped off some groceries for me since I am in quarantine, and she even dropped off some moose meat because her husband's a hunter, and because I have no ground beef, and of course stores are sold out of ground beef around here. They're sold out of everything, and my husband has been still working, so he can't get to the grocery stores during the day, and by the time he can go and look, they're sold out. So she brought me over some ground moose meat that her husband had caught a moose up in Alaska, or the Yukon this winter. So that was really nice of her. And then they smoked a pork roast for me and brought over this beautiful flower. So it's actually been sitting on my coffee table, which is right in front of me. And I have it sitting on this little table runner that I had made quite a few years ago. I actually made it for my daughter's bedroom. So this used to hang in her room. So I threw it through the wash. Thought, you know what? I know it's kind of kiddish, but it's sure cute. So why not just have it in my living room as a little table runner? And it matches my plant perfectly. It's kind of blowing out with the lighting, but you catch the gist. This is fabric by Sarah Jane Studios, I believe. And she's doing a great thing right now where she's posting tutorials and videos for kids just to kind of keep them entertained during the quarantine. I'm just trying to find out who that is, because a lot of you guys are in quarantine with kids. Okay, I'm gonna have to just Raising Wonder. Sorry, Sarah Jane. Yeah, Sarah Jane. Trying to find her username. Sarah Jane Studios. Yeah. So she is a fabric designer and beautiful artist. She does prints, and yeah, so she has tutorials up for kids that you can subscribe to, and they'll send you drawing videos or just different arts and craft tutorials, which is really cool. So I thought I'm gonna bring this out and have it in my living room because it's cheerful and it brings me joy. Put that there. Behind me here is my quilt ladder. This is my Valentine's Day quilt, which I know you guys have seen before. And then this is a quilt that I still have to actually sew the binding on this quilt, but this is a Thimble Blossoms fabric pack that I had used. It was a jelly roll quilt, and it's a good twin to maybe queen size quilt. I just have to hand sew the binding on. This quilt up here is a beautiful memory quilt that my mom had given me for Christmas, and maybe I'll insert the video of me opening this gift. This quilt is made out of all of my dad's old ties. My dad died 4 years ago of leukemia, and so I had all of his ties here at the house, and I had planned on maybe making like a Dresden plate quilt. Dresden plate quilts is this style. So I was thinking just making the ties and sewing them together in a Dresden plate form. But of course, life gets busy. I haven't been quilting much. And so one day Mom came over. She knew I had all the ties here, and she took the bag home. I didn't even notice it was missing. And then on Christmas, we did Christmas a few days before we left for our trip. And on Christmas morning, I opened up this quilt, and I was a bawling mess. But maybe I'll post the video. It's kind of personal, but maybe I'll post the video for you guys to see. And yeah, it's a treasure. And anyway, so this was one of my dad's bandanas that he would wear while he was, he worked for the military. He did a lot of training up in the Yukon. And this was one of his bandanas that he wore up in the Yukon. And then some of the ties, like there's a tie in here that my dad wore on my wedding day. And yeah, she made 4 of these quilts, one for myself and for my 3 brothers. So she put a lot of love and work into these quilts. They are beautiful.
My favorite colors.
Weston.
I know.
Weston,
What?
move.
Weston, come here.
Since Sadie's in not playing, I think we're all into
Mommy made me a quilt? Oh, I have to sit up.
There's crushing stuff in there, honey.
Read the back first. It's in the corner somewhere.
Oh, wow. Holy. Dear Heather, just a little keepsake made with love, and I'm sure it makes Dad smile with love.
It's all his ties. It's all his ties.
Tom and Jerry ties.
Yeah.
Good job, Bailey. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it so much.
And it's a bookshelf. He likes books.
Very nice.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
No. See, so everything represented him. I did the cross because that's the most important thing. And Auntie Karen made all these embellishments. Like this is a vase with his tie. And this is one of his ties that had a flower. And so she cut that all out and embroidered all around it. And she made the lamp. And this is from his scarf, his bandana. And then he loved canoeing, so she did that. And this is why I've been incognito for like over a month. Because it was...
It's like the nicest thing I've ever got. And then this quilt up here is done again with, this one is done with a layer cake actually, and this is from the Thimble Blossoms, I think it's Simply Retro quilt book. And the fabric I used was called April Showers. So yeah, this is another quilt that I have. It's just good to bring the cheery looking quilts into my living room right now. So that's my quilt ladder. What else? I can show you a couple acquisitions that I have. While we were in San Diego, we went to a little quilt shop. I forget which town we were in, but I went to this cute little quilt shop, and my mother-in-law was looking at some of the sock yarn, and she found this, and she asked if she bought this yarn if I'd be willing to knit her a pair of socks. So I was like, okay, sure. I already have a project on the go for her, but for Christmas or for her birthday this year, but maybe I'll put that aside, give that to her for Christmas, and then try and knit these up for her birthday. So this colorway is color 57. And it comes into two 50-gram skeins of yarn. And she just wants shorty socks. She doesn't want long socks. So then I'll be able to get 2 pairs of socks out of this. So I just have to decide now which way to start. But I'm going to finish up my father-in-law's socks first. His birthday's the end of May. Hers is July 1st. So I'm going to finish these up first. I will get these on the needles here soon. But yeah, it's really cool. This is a company called Unique Sock by Earth. Each pair of socks, so from each purchase of a pair of socks, it will plant a tree. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and we will plant, so if you post with this hashtag knit one, plant one, and share a picture of your finished socks, they will plant an additional tree for every post. So that is very cool. So that's that. When I got back from San Diego, I had some very happy mail in the mail from Louise, who is the Wool Baron. We had met for dinner after the Creekside Yarn Festival. She wasn't able to attend the show, but we met for dinner afterwards, and she wanted to purchase one of my bags. So instead we did a swap, and I said, well, I would love some of your mohair to go with some of my purple yarn that I'm hoping to make a ranunculus with. So this is the yarn that she had dyed up. It's one of a kind colorway, so I don't believe she has this for sale. It's a very dark black purple, which I love. And it's the fluffy kid mohair silk. You can see that there. But yeah, it's just beautiful. So thank you, Louise, for this and your gifts. And she sent a treat for Becky, which we'll show at the next podcast. I was gonna wait and have Becky open it at our next podcast, but Becky brought over some groceries for me the other day because of course I can't go out. So she brought over some groceries, and I said, Becky, I have some happy mail from Louise. Would you like it now, or do you want to wait till the next podcast? And she's like, I want it now. So thanks, Louise, for sending your gifts, and you're always blessing us, and you're such an amazing presence in the knitting community. And I know so many people appreciate the Wool Baron, Louise, and thank you so much. So that was from Louise. That's it for acquisitions. I purchased a new book to bring to San Diego, The Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley. I'm only a few chapters in. I'm on chapter 5. And the premise of this book is a senior citizen, he writes in a journal and just explains like who he is. He kind of gives the raw story of who he is, and in his mind, I think he kind of feels he's a crummy person. He says why, and just wants to be totally authentic and just explain who he is. So he leaves this journal in a cafe, and then someone who works at the cafe finds it. And I believe how the story goes is eventually people can add to the journal, and then people can read it and kind of get to know each other, and just, I think, kind of be more brave to be more authentic and show who they truly are. So this looks like a really good book. I'm excited. I just have not had time to pick it up and continue reading it. I still haven't finished my other book that I showed last time, but I did manage to listen to an audiobook on my holidays. I finished it. It's called American Dirt. I'm sure a lot of you who are into reading have heard of American Dirt. The premise is about a woman and her son trying to make it from Acapulco, Mexico to the north, like to the United States, and trying to sneak into the country. So it really was an eye-opener on the suffering of people who are trying to get out of harm in their country. And it's a gritty book, so if you don't like reading gritty, hard to read books, I wouldn't recommend it, but it was a very, very good book, and I could not stop listening to that audiobook. And yeah, it was great. So I would recommend that book. And then now I'm needing to start a new audiobook. I started one, but then it expired, so now I have to get a new one going. So right now I'm in the middle between audiobooks. That's okay. it's hard with the kids home now because I don't have as much time, it feels like, to listen to an audiobook. So, yeah, what else? I'm trying to think of what else there is to say. I just hope for everyone who's out there unsure of the circumstances that are going around. I just really want to encourage everybody to just encourage everybody, you know. If you can put posts on social media that are uplifting and not just all this COVID-19 information sheets and the fear, like the numbers that keep growing. Like, yes, we need to be aware, but I think people who want to be aware can just simply go online and get the latest updates. And if people ask them questions, then of course share the news. But I'm just encouraging people to try and put posts out there that are uplifting, and then it just kind of blocks some of the negative feeds that are constantly being shared on. I'm finding Facebook being the worst. Instagram, I still think that Instagram's going pretty good, and people are just really trying to encourage each other. I did share a post on my Instagram page. I'm Quilt Crazy on Instagram. That if anyone is just struggling right now and just needing some encouragement, to feel free to message me, to direct message me. And I was kind of blown away with the amount of messages that I did receive of people who are struggling with all of this. And I was happy to reply back to people. And again, too, like if there's anyone there that, if you guys are feeling alone, you need to talk, you just need some encouragement, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Quilt Crazy. You can also find us at Feather Stitches Podcast. I know Becky as well would be happy to share words of encouragement for you if you're needing it. Some people live in cities where they don't have family that they can just, you know, maybe bunk up with for a few weeks or have to pick up their groceries. If you're a senior, if you're plus 65, if you can stay home, please stay home. I know it's been hard for my mom, but I'm begging her to just please stay home. There's a lot of people that are trying to protect the vulnerable group of people who are a plus 65 or who have immune compromised illnesses. And there's so many people that want to help that bracket of people. And, you know, I think people just need to be willing to be like, okay, I need help, and just reach out. So if you're plus 65 and you need help and you're finding services, I know a lot of churches are offering services for grocery pickup, prescription pickups. Utilize it. People want to help, and I think that a lot of good things are going to come from this really hard time. And there's going to be lots of stories, and, you know, like Mr. Rogers said, his mom always said, you know, in really scary and hard circumstances, when things seem overwhelming, look for the helpers. So just try and look for the helpers in all this. See who's helping who. Of course, I work in healthcare, and I'm just so thankful for my coworkers who are going to work every day, for the doctors I work with. It's a scary time. They don't want to be at work. They want people who don't need to go in to just stay home. I'm really appreciative for the clinics, like the dental offices, the eye doctors, that are just seeing emergency cases right now, because, you know, it's hard for them to even just see the emergency cases. So applaud your clinics who are staying open for emergency cases only, because they're trying to pay staff and they're trying to keep busy with working. And so applaud those offices that are staying open to see emergency cases. And yeah, we're stronger together. Let's just all help each other. Let's encourage each other. We will get through this. This is a season, and thankfully the thing with seasons is that the season ends and a new one begins. So stay cozy, everybody. Stay knitting, stay crafting, stay loving your family, be patient with one another, and just share the love. Happy knitting.